Good morning, Century 21. Hey, just like I've talked about, we're going to do these little video shoots. They're going to be pretty casual, pretty simple, but I wanted to give you just a thought or two regarding your SOI, your sphere of influence. Now look, I've said for years, there is probably not a single solitary, more important asset that an agent will build than the building of their centers of influence or sphere of influence, whatever it is that you call it. And the reality for every one of us is that there's probably so many reasons why we are not executing at the highest level in regards to our sphere. But I am always fascinated that if an agent's production is not increasing, there's a problem with their sphere. If the business is not getting easier for them, there's most likely a problem with their sphere. If their sales prices, the value of the homes that they're selling is not increasing, it means there's a problem with their sphere. Now, what I mean by the problem is that they're not doing just these simple things. Look, people will go to seminars, they're going to go spend days listening to this stuff, and I think in just 2 or 3 minutes, I could share with you exactly what you're supposed to do. So, all right, here we go. Here's number one. Number one, with our centers of influence, we need to call them, right, on a quarterly basis at minimum. Now, look, if we're not calling them, we've got a problem. Because if we do these things that I'm talking about, we're going to get a 10 to 15% rate of return on our centers of influence. Meaning that if you have 300 people in your sphere, that means you're going to do somewhere between 30 to 45 deals a year just with your centers of influence. So with that, let's make sure we are calling them on a quarterly basis at minimum. The second thing we need to do, with all the great resources and tools that are available, we've got to make sure that we have an email going out, some type of campaign, some type of CRM, and that needs to go out at minimum on a monthly basis. The third thing we need to make sure that's happening is we need to do what we call like the snail mail, right? The snail mail at a minimum quarterly. Now I see a lot of agents that will do this on a monthly basis, but at minimum, you've got to make sure that's happening quarterly. And then the fourth is we've got to make sure that we're doing some type of social media. Now look, a lot of people will talk really in depth about this and they'll say, look, you've got to make it all fancy and this. I want you to remember what's important with your sphere. Consistency is more important than the content. So when I'm looking at social media for my centers of influence, I'm thinking something like this. Show me 3 things about maybe your family, of course, right, the food that you eat, the family trip, whatever it is, right? Maybe something great that a client, and we're going to do a 3-to-1 ratio, meaning 3 personal things to every 1 business thing. And then the last thing I want you to focus on is this, number 5, and that is some type of, I'm going to say client appreciation, all right? Some type of client appreciation at minimum once a year, forgive me. So look, if you did this, if you called your sphere of influence quarterly, if you emailed monthly, if you mailed quarterly, if you did social media, 3-to-1 ratio, every week you're putting in 3 personal things and then 1 business thing, right? 3-to-1 ratio, because if you keep putting business, well then they're going to ignore you. So you've got to put the personal, it's called social media. And last, client appreciation. In closing, let me say this. If you go to a social event, a party, anything, a holiday social, whatever it is, and they're asking, and you have your friends and your family or others asking you, so are you still in real estate? I promise you, you are messing this thing up. So look, stop that. Let's get this right. Let's execute at the highest level. Let's build an asset that will pay you dividends over and over and over again. Why does the law firm get sold? Because it has a clientele. Why does the dentist have a book of business that he sells with his practice? Because he has a center of influence. We have to recognize the single most important asset that we will build will be the building of this center of influence. This sphere, these people will make you a fortune. They're cheering for you. They want you to be successful. Now, do your job by bringing value to their lives so that you are the expert in their life. Have an extraordinary week. Finish strong. Remember, you can do all of this. 30, 45 deals, 10, 15% return if you get 300 people in that sphere. Awesome. Go do it.